From Brisbane, capital of the Sunshine State, ABC Sport takes you to Albion Park, speed pacing capital of Australia, for the grand final of Australasia's greatest harness race, the 1993 Interdominion Pacing Championship.
Good evening, I'm Jerry Collins, and after 2 weeks of great harness racing action, the culmination tonight, the running of the grand final of the 1993 Interdominion Grand Final. And there's been drama today as well, with the late scratching of the second favourite, Chokin, following on the scratching of Master Musician on Thursday. George Gruljasic will be calling his 14th Interdominion Grand Final. And, George, there really has been some drama this week.
And quite often in the Interdominion there's drama. It's happened before. In 1962, Cardigan Bay was scratched in Perth. In 1964, Minuteman was a doubtful starter, but won the race at the showgrounds in Melbourne. In 1968, Helwes was scratched on the day of the race. And in 1987, My Lightning Blue, which was an emergency, gained a start on account of a late scratching and won the race.
Well, what effect is that going to have on tonight's final?
Oh, this final still contains that essential ingredient of a contest between Australia and New Zealand, with Blossom Lady and Christopher Vance, along with Defoe, representing New Zealand against Jack Morris, Westburn Grant and Warrior Khan, a true Interdominion contest.
Well, good calling, George. Also with us tonight is Lynn Keep, and she's down amongst the action.
Thanks, Jerry. Not all the excitement's out there. Here in the betting ring, it's action-packed. Everyone's trying to get their best prices, their selections. And the bookies, well, they're in generous moods. After all, they got all the pre-post betting on Master Musician and Chokin. They got mine, so like everyone else, I'm looking for a winner. And like everyone else, I can't go past the favourite. Who do you think will win the grand final?
I like the favourite, Jack Morris.
They can't beat him?
No, no way.
Jack Morris.
Jack Morris must be the best bet in town.
Look, I really have no idea. This is my first night here and I'm not sure.
Jack Morris.
They can't beat him?
Can't beat him. Not where he's drawn. He's drawn number 5, best position in the race.
Well, they might all be going for Jack Morris. But really, if we have a look at last year's grand final, there's a bit of an indicator of some of the action for tonight.
But it's Westburn Grant, the leader, off the back by 2 metres. Blossom Lady, Master Musician third, then Franco Tiger. They were followed further back in the field by Defoe, and Christopher Vance will need his big sprint. Westburn Grant leads into the straight now from Blossom Lady and Master Musician, then Defoe. It's Westburn Grant for home, the leader from Blossom Lady. Franco Tiger can't get out, then Defoe, but it's Westburn Grant clear. He's holding them safely at bay. He'll lead nearly all the way. Franco Tiger out late, but Westburn Grant has won it. Franco Tiger is second. I think Blossom Lady third, just in front of Defoe.
And all three price getters there, Westburn Grant, Franco Tiger and Blossom Lady, are again in the grand final tonight. But can they beat Jack Morris? Well, let's go to the trackside and MC Marshall Dobson.
To all our viewers throughout Australia and internationally through the Southeast Asian region, through ABC, welcome to harness racing at its very best. $400,000 in prize money, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and to welcome our champions on the track, Leanne Keneally and the South Bank Parkland Marching Band.
Up jumped a swagman and grabbed him with glee, and he sang as he stopped that jumbuck in his tucker bag. Who'll come a waltzing Matilda with me? Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And he sang as he stopped that jumbuck in his tucker bag.
Leanne Keneally there with Waltzing Matilda, and it all builds up the action. And down in the betting ring, the action happening as well. Lynn Keep.
Current betting and the second emergency red chip. It's 330 to 1, but our board doesn't go that far. Basically, write your own ticket. Master Musician is out. Franco Tiger 12 to 1. Blossom Lady was 5, has now blown out to 11 to 2. Jack Morris, the bookies want to take the money, was 2 to 1, but he's blown out a little into 7 to 4 on. Hilarion Star 150 to 1. Level Advice, little chance at 100 to 1. Devote 25s. We own a Warrior 200. Warrior Khan steady at 6s. Rustic Lad 80 to 1. The best back runner in the race is Westburn Grant. Was 10-1, but now Westburn Grant has come right in and is now 7-1. And Christopher Van Steady at 11-1.
Well, it won't be long before the horses are out on the track, George, and a bit of money for Westburn Grant.
Yes, a terrific plunge on course on Westburn Grant. He's firmed in the betting from 10-1 at the opening of betting on course tonight and is at 6-1. So a terrific plunge on Westburn Grant, but Jack Morris remains the firm favourite at 7-4 on.
Well, the field now coming out, and number 1 is Red Chip. He's to be driven by Darren Hancock. He was the second emergency, but he gets a run with the late scratching of Chokin today. And he's an 8-year-old, and his form in the heats has really not been over impressive. As a result, the bookies have him at long odds for the championship final.
And number 3 is Franco Tiger, the mighty pacemaker from Victoria. Brian Gath is certain to go for the lead. Gath won the Interdominion in Melbourne on 1978 on Markovina. This horse is leading at the Grand Circuit. It's racing for a $200,000 bonus in tonight's race. Winner of the Miracle Mile, the South Australian Cup, Queensland Cup and the Australian Pacing Championship, and second in last year's Interdominion Final.
Number 4 is Blossom Lady. She's everybody's favourite mare. She's 8-year-old, but is racing with the consistency of a 4-year-old. She won a heat on the opening night, was third in the second heat, and finished very powerfully over the grand final distance to be just pipped by Defoe last Saturday night. She was third in last year's final, and while she's unlikely to be prominent early, watch for her coming home at the finish.
The only mare in tonight's final, and a champion too. New Zealand's Blossom Lady has drawn well on the front line, and reinsman Anthony Bart is happy with her preparations.
She's had a couple of steady runs Tuesday and Thursday, both 2-mile runs, and quite a lot of swimming too, so, you know, I expect her to be at peak fitness.
Third in last year's final, Blossom Lady took out her opening heat, adding 2 second placings. The last a photo finish with Victorian Defoe.
Blossom Lady cutting it down, but Defoe, and Defoe wins.
If Blossom Lady does win, she'll be the first New Zealand trained mare to take the title on Australian soil and push her prize money to near $1 million.
And now the mighty Jack Morris from Western Australia, the race favourite. He's going out in this race at far lap odds of 7-4 on. So often the bridesmaid on the Grand Circuit, third in the Miracle Mile, second in the Western Australian Trotting Cup, and also second in the Victorian Cup, but he won the Truer Memorial at Bankstown. He's a 5-year-old gelding by Somo Hanover from Belinda Morris. Rod Chambers in the sulky, the horse trained by Sean Harney.
Number 6 is Hilarion.
It's been a near-perfect lead-up for the 5-year-old West Australian. After first and second placings in his opening heats, Jack Morris turned on a remarkable run last Saturday night with a 9-metre world record-breaking win over 2,600 metres.
But it's all Jack Morris. Jack Morris wins 2.5 lengths, Rustic Lad.
It's just great to be in the final of Interdominion, and I'm really happy with the horse that we've got. And he's just come through the series fantastic, and we just can't wait to get here Saturday night.
Trainer Sean Harney has been happy with the favourite's preparations and has just a few words of advice for driver Rod Chambers.
The instructions are right, or we go and get the money. I don't care who does it.
Number 6 is Hilarion Star, another West Australian driven by Chris Lewis, and Chris Lewis has won 2 Interdominion Grand Finals behind Carclew in '76 and Village Lad in 1986. Well, Hilarion Star was disappointing when he was well back behind Jack Morris last week and seems to have the job ahead of him in this grand final. He's a fast beginner. He'll be looking for a handy position, but that's not going to be easy. Hilarion Star, an outside chance.
And number 7, Level Advice, is one of the fastest beginners in the race and might tackle Franco Tiger and Jack Morris for the early pacemaking. The 6-year-old gelding by Gary's advice, being driven by Gary Peace. That's won 2 heats of the Interdominion in Melbourne last year and one on the opening night here over 2,100 metres, but ran 5th and 6th in the remaining 2 qualifying heats.
Number 8 is Defoe, driven by Ted Demler. He's a heat winner over the grand final distance, and he's had plenty of Interdominion experience. He's the same draw as he had for that heat win, but he'll be flat out gaining as good a position in the run. Driven by Teddy Demler, who's yet to win an Interdominion, but he won the Miracle Mile behind Pure Steel in 1978. Defoe can't be dismissed as a chance over the 2,600 metres.
And Brian Hancock is the driver of number 9, Wiona Warrior. Hancock won the Interdominion on Koala King in Sydney in 1980. This horse is a half-brother to Wiona Chief, which was placed in Adelaide in 1990, and during the series has finished 5th, 4th and 6th, the last occasion to Master Musician.
Number 10 is Warrior Khan, the former Queenslander, now trained by Andrew Peace in Victoria. He's well acquainted with Albion Park, and he was pretty impressive in a strong performance to be second to Jack Morris on the opening night. Plenty of good judges say he can win this. He's only a 4-year-old and seems set for a big career, which could be given a tremendous boost from a big performance in this grand final. Now we go to the 5-year-old gelding, Rustic Lad, the only Queensland representative in the field, winner of the 1992 Lord Mayor's Cup. And Rustic Lad ran his best race of the series when second to Jack Morris over 2,600 metres in world record time. Number 12, Westburn Grant, an outstanding champion. He's the people's favourite. His career seemed finished 2 years ago, but he came back from horrific injuries to win the Interdominion last year. Tonight, he only needs to finish in the top 3 to overtake Village Kid as Australia's greatest ever stakes winner.
The winner of more than $2 million in prize money, Westburn Grant has done just about everything for trainer and driver Vic Frost. If he wins tonight, the 7-year-old will become only the 3rd horse to take back-to-back titles, the perfect ending to one of the most popular partnerships in harness racing.
Well, it would be fantastic, because that will be his last run ever. He'll never race again. He'll be retired at the Interdominion Final.
In qualifying, the defending champ has placed 3rd, 1st, and in his final heat produced a withering run to finish 2nd to New Zealand star Master Musician.
Westburn Grant flashing home, but Master Musician wins 3/4 of a length. Westburn Grant, a great run.
It'd be fantastic if he could sort of go out on a winning note.
And the remaining horse in the field, number 14, Christopher Vance from New Zealand, trained and driven by Barry Purdon, a 6-year-old gelding. Christopher Vance won the 1991 Miracle Mile, was second in the 1991 Interdominion behind Mark Hanover, and is a multiple winner of cups in New Zealand. Second to Blossom Lady, a win on the middle night, 1 minute 54.6 over the mile, and then 3rd over the 2,600 metres to Jack Morris.
And we've just heard the whistle for them to be called up to the barrier, and there is the barrier draw, and George, Jack Morris, really well drawn at number 5.
Well, he's right in the open there. He's the 4th horse off the rail on the front. Rod Chambers, no doubt, will go forward early to tackle Franco Tiger. It remains to be seen what Level Advice will do, starting there from the number 7 position. But Warrior Khan's chances have been improved. He originally had the outside of the front, but he now goes to the inside of the back row. That is the big change in the barrier following the shock scratching of Chokin.
And Westburn Grant will be starting behind Blossom Lady, which means he might have just a few problems at the start of the race. Well, not too long before they're underway. Let's go down for the latest in the betting with Lynn.
Thanks, Jerry. Actually, Red Chip's been supported. Was 330 to 1, is now 200 to 1. A little bit of support. Franco Tiger is steady at 12 to 1. Blossom Lady was 7s and 5s. Jack Morris is steady at 7 to 4 on. Calarian Star and Level Advice have both blown out a little bit. And Defoe is steady at 25 to 1. We know Warrior is still 200 to 1. Warrior Khan, 7 to 1 was 6 to 1. Rustic Lad, 80s, is probably now closer to 100 to 1. This is the one the punters want. Westburn Grant was 10 to 1 early, is now 3 to 1. And Christopher Vance, too, has been supported. Jack Morris will start an odds-on favourite, but the punters will be cheering for Westburn Grant.
They sure will, George. That's amazing, isn't it? He's really been backed in, Westburn Grant.
Well, they were betting 12 to 1 after the barrier draw on Monday down on the Gold Coast, and he's come in now 9 points since then. He's the most popular horse in the series, no doubt about that. He's really the horse that's lifted the roof off the grandstands here. That night that he won over the mile, racing outside the leader, the crowd gave a mighty roar, and then he brought them alive again on the 3rd night when he flashed home into 2nd position.
Westburn Grant, can he win 2 in a row? It's only been done a couple of times, and it's a big opportunity for him, but really the form of Jack Morris. I mean, Jack Morris broke the world record for 2,600 metres last week.
A mile rate of 157.2. He came home the last half in 56.5, and he was hard held by Rod Chambers in the run to the line. The early part of the race, apart from the tussle for the lead between Franco Tiger, Jack Morris and Level Advice, we'll also see the tactics of Vic Frost on Westburn Grant, drawn behind the slow beginner Blossom Lady. He might attempt to weave his way around the outside of that mare in the early part of the race. He's an aggressive driver, Vic Frost. He knows what it's all about in the big events, and it'll be very interesting to see his tactics in the first 100 metres of the race.
Number 11 there, Rustic Lad, is the Queenslander in the field. A lot of interest locally, naturally, but it really seems that the crowd is behind Westburn Grant, number 12. And those colours, by the way, which Vic Frost will be wearing, are the colours of the Sydney 2000 bid. There you can see it. Vic Frost getting behind the Sydney 2000 bid for the Olympics in the year 2000. Well, if Westburn Grant can win tonight, maybe they can win the bid as well, George.
Westburn Grant led all the way in Melbourne last year, as we saw earlier. But tonight he'll have to do it a different way. He is a great all-round competitor and has probably the best sprint of any horse in the race. That includes the favourite, Jack Morris. The problem for Vic Frost will be to jockey the horse into a good position to get within striking distance of those leaders. This is the last start for Westburn Grant. He will be retired after this. He's a 7-year-old. And Westburn Grant will go to stud. He's by the mighty sire Land Grant, which passed away a few months back here in Queensland out of the mighty producing mare, Westburn View. Now the starter, Bob Cressy, is marshalling the field. The race distance, 2,600 metres. The track record, 3 minutes, 9.4 seconds for the distance, was set by Jack Morris on the third round of qualifying heats. Now all the runners are moving up smoothly. Red Chip, the second emergency, has the inside running on the front. Franco Tiger in 2. Blossom Lady's right up on the gate at the moment. Jack Morris moving forward, then Illyrian Star. Further out to Level Advice, Defoe, the outside runner, Leona Warrior. Warrior Khan is back behind the line on the second row. He's about 2 lengths out of position. Now they're going very well behind the gate as they approach the start point. Stand by, blue light, they're off and racing. Red Chip got out quickly and going very quickly, Franco Tiger. Level Advice is going fast, and in between them, Jack Morris is putting on the pressure. Westburn Grant has been jockeyed through the field. Vic Frost got around the outside and is running about 6th on settling down. They leave the back straight the first time. It's a great tussle. Franco Tiger the leader. And moving up around the outside now to take him on is Defoe, which is showing surprising early speed. Red Chip dropped in behind them. Then Level Advice. Jack Morris has settled down 5th now on the outside of Rusty Glad. They were followed further back by Westburn Grant. Illyrian Star going up on the inside. Further back behind them, Leona Warrior. Blossom Lady's dropped out second last, and there's 3 or 4 lengths back behind them. At the rear of the field to Warrior Khan. Past the judges' box they go. Less than 2 laps to run, and Franco Tiger the leader, but Jack Morris has made the move. He's gone up to race within a length of the leader. Red Chip 3rd, Defoe 4th, and 5th on the inside is Rusty Glad. Then on the outside, next of all, is Level Advice on the outside of Illyrian Star. Westburn Grant just behind centre field is 1 wide. Then Christopher Vance on the inside, Leona Warrior. A length and a half, Blossom Lady, and 2 lengths further back behind him at the rear of the field, Warrior Khan. About 35 metres covers the field. They go over towards the back. They've covered the first 1,000. There's 1,600 metres left to go. The lead time, 1:12.8, is about 2 seconds inside a 2-minute rate. So there's plenty of pressure on in front. And Franco Tiger, he leads the way by a length. Jack Morris second on the outside. A neck back on the inside to Red Chip. 1 out and 1 back, Defoe. That was a splendid drive early by Ted Demler. 3/4 of a length to Rusty Glad from Queensland on the inside. Then Level Advice on the outside. Illyrian Star back on the rail. Then Westburn Grant. Here comes a run around the outside now from Warrior Khan. He's been tracked around the field by Blossom Lady. Christopher Vance is back in second last position, and Leona Warrior last on the rail. Down past the 1,100 metre mark, they come down to get the bell. The first quarter of the last mile in 31.6. And it's Franco Tiger. He's up the tempo, leads by a neck on Jack Morris. Down on the inside is Red Chip. Then in the centre next is Defoe. 3 wide is Warrior Khan. They were followed back on the rail by Rusty Glad. And they were followed further back out 3 wide now by Blossom Lady around Level Advice. Illyrian Stars on the inside. Then Christopher Vance. And further back behind him is Leona Warrior back at the tail of the field. In the back straight, 700 to go. 29.8 for the second quarter of the last mile. Franco Tiger being pressured by Jack Morris. Red Chip is running 3rd. Around the outside, Warrior Khan still coming with a mighty run. In the middle is Defoe, and out 3 wide, Blossom Lady. Westburn Grant's in a pocket at the moment in centre field. As they go to the 400 metre mark, they're bunched right up in front, and Jack Morris takes the lead. Jack Morris puts his head in front. Franco Tiger's gone. Around the outside, Warrior Khan, and driving up behind them, Blossom Lady. Defoe's there in the centre. Westburn Grant is the widest runner, coming around the outside of Christopher Vance. Into the straight, Jack Morris the leader, 150 to go. Down the outside, Warrior Khan, then Blossom Lady, one out Christopher Vance. Jack Morris in front, holding them at bay, and he's too good, Jack Morris. Jack Morris wins by 2 lengths from Warrior Khan or Blossom Lady. Close for fourth between Christopher Vance and Rustic Lad on the inside. Then We Own a Warrior. They were followed on the inside by Defoe. Then wide out, Westburn Grant couldn't come on, followed by Red Chip, Hilarion Star. A long second last is Franco Tiger, and dropping out to last of all is Level Advice. So a mighty run by the Western Australian champion, Jack Morris, driven by Rod Chambers, trained by Sean Harney, raced by Peter Vogt from Western Australia. And Jack Morris raced for most of the race outside the leader and came home the final section in 27.8 seconds. 27.8 for the last quarter by Jack Morris. The overall time was 3 minutes 10.4, which was exactly 1 second slower than he recorded in the heat when he set the world record of 1:57.2. Rod Chambers dismounting from the sulky. And look at Jack Morris being shaken up there by Rod Chambers. He had plenty left at the top of the straight. Warrior Khan in the light blue colours tried to go with him but couldn't. Had a tough run, Warrior Khan. He was 3 wide for a long way. Blossom Ladies wider out under the whip from Anthony Butt, responding gamely and in a photo for second, but a clear-cut win to Jack Morris. Rod Chambers was leaving no stone unturned in the run of the line. He had a good look around there, saw that he was well clear, but he persevered by putting pressure on the horse and left nothing to chance. And Jack Morris, this marvel pacer from Western Australia, scoring a clear-cut win. And there it is for second between Blossom Lady on the outside and Warrior Khan. That's almost a dead heat for second. The horse with the neckband is Christopher Vance. Rod Chambers will come back to a big ovation. This will be a popular win despite the big on-course plunge on Westburn Grant. Westburn Grant got caught between horses at the 500-metre mark. And Vic Frost was able to get him out of that pocket with about 250 metres to go. He swung to the extreme outside. That's Vic Frost there in the Sydney 2000 Olympic bid colours. He's already congratulated Rod Chambers that as Westburn Grant couldn't come on in the last 200 metres and has weakened back to finish about 7th or 8th. The first quarter of the last mile in 31.6, the second quarter of the last mile in 29.8, the third in 28.4, and the final section in 27.8. A gross time for the race of 3 minutes 10.4. Clerk of the course bringing the Interdominion champion back. This is his second win on the Australian Grand Circuit, having won the Trua Memorial at Bankstown late last year after being beaten in the Miracle Mile.
Well, he's been the outstanding horse of this carnival. He was the only horse to win 2 heats, and in winning the final heat broke the world record for 2,600 metres. And in this tough grand final, he has run a tough race and proved to be the outstanding champion.
Rod Chambers was the trainer driver of 2 horses who qualified for the final in Adelaide in 1990, Whitby Timer and Whitby Heritage. He couldn't break off the bacon on that occasion, but he's done it tonight, taking the freelance drive behind this champion horse.
And the trainer, Sean Harney, is with Lynn Keep.
Congratulations, Sean, on a job well done. It's been a great trying triumph for you as well.
Yes, just enormous thrill tonight. I'm just so happy with the horse. Rod drove him like the best horse in the race, and he drove him the way that we wanted him to be driven, and he'd give him every chance to prove that he was the best horse, and he's done that, and he's done it with aplomb. And good on you, Rod. You've done it perfectly, and the horse, you're just so pleased to be associated with him.
It's a big effort for the horse, actually, because he has a lot of bad habits, you told me earlier in the week.
Yeah, he sort of worked his way through them, and, you know, like it was probably just his arrogance, and as I said earlier, there's probably a fair bit of that's rubbed off on me. But Banjo Patterson wrote a poem a long time ago called Do You Think They Don't Know? And you just have a look at this fella tonight. You don't reckon he doesn't know.
Congratulations, Sean.
Thanks very much.
Sean Harney, the trainer, and the driver, of course, Rod Chambers. A magnificent performance on Jack Morris.
So Jack Morris, a 5-year-old gelding by Sermo Hanover from Belinda Morris.
George, we might go back and look at the last kilometre of the race.
Well, there's Franco Tiger setting the pace. Everybody expected Franco Tiger to lead. Jack Morris had made that early move to go up outside the leader from where he could control the race. The horse 3 wide is Warrior Khan, so he's been 3 wide for about a lap and a half, racing on the outside of Defoe there in the orange colours with the black diamond. And further back on the inside, the Queenslander Rustic Lad, who ran a good honest race. Blossom Lady is moving up centre field, 3 wide for the track on Warrior Khan there. And further back then was Westburn Grant. He was bunched up between horses, and I think that Vic Frost would have preferred to be more in the clear at that stage of the race. So here, Christopher Vance in the spotted colours on the outside, the silver grey with the blue spots and the neckband. He's back third last there, second last of West Australian horse Illyrian Star. But there's Jack Morris taking the lead. There was just over 250 metres to go there, and he put the issue really beyond doubt there, because it was inconceivable that Warrior Khan could come 3 wide around the field, around the favourite, and beat him, Jerry. Now, Chambers going for the whip there to put a space between himself and the opposition, which he duly did. Blossom Lady powering home on the outside in the maroon and grey stripes, and the widest runner there was Westburn Grant just behind Christopher Vance.
Well, we've been a great fan of Blossom Lady, and a tremendous run, having to run 3 wide for most of that last lap and finishing third. But the driver of Jack Morris, Rod Chambers, is with Winkeep.
Congratulations, Rod. Sean said you drove him to perfection and under instructions. What were your instructions?
Go out and win.
You did just that. You're not worried when you went out and took up the death seat position?
No, he showed his heat win on last Saturday that he broke a world record. We thought he'd be confident enough to go out and drive him positive tonight. And we had the luck of the Irish on our side tonight. So the horse done the rest. He's a great horse.
Congratulations on the job well done.
Thank you very much.
The winner of the 1993 Interdominion, number 5, Jack Morris, driven by Rod Chambers. Second placing going to number 10, Warrior Khan, and third to Blossom Lady, and she finished third in last year's grand final as well.
And Jack Morris, by winning the $240,000 first prize, has taken his stake winnings now to $568,000. That's a pretty tidy sum of money. And there's no doubt that one day he will become a millionaire, Jerry.
And I suppose Westburn Grant, of course, missing out on that opportunity of becoming Australia's highest stakes winner.
Yes, he'll get an appearance fee for going in the final, but he'll retire on $2,070,000, which is no disgrace. And Village Kid still remains the highest prize winner in Australasian harness racing history with $2.105 million.
We can look back over a magic week, and Jack Morris has been the undoubted star, but there have been others. Chokin was unlucky to be scratched today. Master Musician as well scratched on Thursday, so we didn't see those top stars. But we've seen Westburn Grant. We've seen that wonderful mare, Blossom Lady. What a tremendous performer she's been throughout the heats and again in that grand final. Warrior Khan, and it really has been an Interdominion to remember. And the winner of the 1993 championship, there he is, and he knows it, Jack Morris.